Okay, so in Black Clover chapter 341, we get introduced to 3 new members of the Ryuzen Seven, and they're all actually pretty interesting characters. We have Amari Kamari, who is my favorite currently of the 3, who is a Garu Konoichi, and then there's Okudai Zaman, who's the most normal looking of the 3, but we end up finding out that he's just a little bit perverted. And then there's Hanagatsuji Juzo, who wears a demon-like mask, and actually, he reminds me a little bit of Jack with the way he moves. But yeah, like I said, these 3 new members of the Ryuzen Seven are all here on Ryu's behalf to train Asta. And I guess they're all training him on how to use Zen. I originally thought that Zen would be the kind of technique that Ichika specialized in, and then each member would have their own different technique, but I guess they all use Zen just in different ways, in different formats. And we actually get to see that kind of hinted at in the very beginning of the chapter where we see them training Asta. Because during their training sessions, when we see them all attacking Asta during their fights, we see these little glowing dots around all of them, and each one has a different amount of dots around them. And I didn't pick up on this until later on in the chapter when Asta actually kind of breaks it down to us, but each one of those orbs we see in his training session montage shows exactly how each member of the Ryuzen Seven uses Zen. Because alright, think about it this way, look at the last chapter with Ichika, we saw that during her training session with Asta, she was using the maximum output of Zen she could in each single strike, and only hitting Asta once using 100% of her power. What we end up finding out in this chapter is that each member of the Ryuzen Seven has different outputs when it comes to their strikes. So say someone like Himari, she hits Asta 4 times during her training session, so with each one of her hits she's only using 25% of her maximum output. With Okudai, we see him hit Asta twice, but that means each hit is going to be using 50% of his maximum output. And with Hanagatsuji, we saw him hit Asta 5 times, which means each one did about 20% of his maximum output. And it actually makes a lot of sense to break your Zen up this way, because think about it like this. If say Asta's in a fight against Lucius again, and he decides to use Zen at the maximum output for 1 hit, 1 kill, if he misses, then he has to recharge his Zen up in order to get the maximum output again in the next strike. As opposed to if he breaks it down to where he only uses about, say, 20% in 1 hit, if he misses that first hit, then he still has 80% left to use already charged up, ready to go. So the Zen that Asta's learning from Ichika is how to maximize your output into 1 single hit. From these new members of the Ryuzen 7, he's learning how to break it up into multiple hits. I wonder what's going to end up happening with the remaining 3, because these are 4 members so far of 7 members. So we have 3 more people left to introduce, and I'm wondering what those 3 new people can introduce to us that's going to be brand new from what he's already learning from these original 4. And I think honestly the best thing that at least one of these members could teach Asta, possibly the last one, is how to use his Zen or how to use his ki manipulation to extend the time of his double union, because as of right now he's still at the, I think, 10-minute max limit when he only does partial double union, and when he's in his full double union he's still limited to 5 minutes. So if he could find a way using ki to extend his time limit, that would actually be a huge boost in power for Asta. We end up getting a lot of banter in this chapter from the 3 new members of the Ryuzen 7, mostly from Imari and Hanagatsuji, with the 2 of them arguing back and forth about Imari's appearance, and it kind of reminded me a lot of how we get a lot of banter from the members of the Black Bulls. And what also kind of reminded me of the Black Bulls when watching them is how they all immediately flock to Ryu when he shows up in the chapter, because it really reminded me of how when we first met the Black Bull members, they all immediately flocked to Yami the second he stepped back into their headquarters when introducing Asta. Like, you can immediately see all the respect and love each member of the Ryuzen 7 have for Ryu. And you know, surprisingly enough, the person who ends up showing the most love and respect towards Ryu in the chapter ends up being Ichika, because later on in the chapter, after they're done training, and Asta trying to figure out exactly what he learned from the training, we see Ichika come up to him, and basically she goes on this whole fanboy tirade about how great of a person Ryu is, showing exactly how much respect she actually has for the guy. And we also end up finding out that apparently the reason why she cares about him so much is not only because he's a shogun and he's such a cool character, but because of the fact that apparently he saved her life and she owes him for that. Which, remember that because we're going to get back to that in just a second, but before that I want to mention she gives us the identity to Ryu's ability, which is basically, it's called clairvoyance. I'm going to hold off on using the Japanese title just because I want to make sure the fan translation matches up with the official English translation, but apparently it's clairvoyance, which allows him to see everything going on in the world all at once in the current time. I'm not sure if he has the ability to see into the past or the future, but I did mention in my spoiler video that based on what he did in chapter 337 when he saved those civilians from the bandits exploding the wall, that I think he has at least the ability to see into the very near future. Also, I think it's pretty obvious that he can not only see what's going on, but he can listen in on conversations as well, because that would explain how he knows that Lucius plans on enacting Judgment Day 7 days after he quote-unquote killed Asta. Now, after Ichika's done fanboying over Ryu, we see Asta do the same thing with Yami, and he actually also ends up comparing her ki and Ryu's ki to Yami, saying they're actually very similar. And this ends up just pissing Ichika off, and we end up finding out the reason why she has so much disdain towards her older brother is because of the fact that, according to her, he is responsible for killing their entire family. Now, the fan translation says clan. I saw a different translation saying that it could be family, clan. I'm going to wait till the official one comes out to figure out which one is which. But either way, we find out from Ichika that apparently Yami brought down the downfall of their entire family. And this is why I said keep in mind the whole idea that Ryu saved Ichika and that's the reason why she's so indebted to him. Because more than likely, this is what she saved him from. Something that happened with Yami in the past that brought down the downfall of their family. Now obviously, we know Yami is a character, we've been following him for years now, 7+ years. We know that he's not the kind of person to just kill people in cold blood. I mean, look what happened when he killed Veto back during the Underwater Temple arc. He went to his dead body and took the time to pray for him. So we know that there has to be more to the story, and at the very end of the chapter, we see that we're going to a flashback showing when Ichika and Yami were kids, and most likely going to show us exactly what ended up happening. But unfortunately, because Black Clover is going on break next week, we're going to have to wait 2 weeks to get more to the story. Now obviously, once we do continue the flashback, it's going to be from Ichika's perspective, so we're going to be seeing things through her eyes, which means she's only going to show us the information that she knows of, and there's going to be some missing parts to it. And then once her and Yami reconnect, we're actually going to see the full story when Yami basically tells her what actually happened. Anyway, that is it for the review. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think happened with Yami's family. Do you think he actually is responsible for killing them, or do you think it's all just one big misunderstanding? Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.